At the ripe age of 33, after years of abusing and cheating on her, I've finally grown enough to ask her the question. Sleep, are you done with me? As I stare up into the ceiling, counting the seconds that pass, hoping that she'll give me rest to my eyes. 1, 2, 3. I think back to the past in my childhood, in my teens, in my young adult life where I gave up sleep for worldly addictions. When did it start? I remember 3rd grade, I was 9 years old. Pokemon came out on the Game Boy. My friends all brought their games to the schoolyard and I was jealous. I begged my immigrant parents earning minimum wage to buy me a Game Boy and a Pokemon game. What they had to suffer to afford that. It was 1999, 2000s. I had no idea how money worked, nevertheless economics, nor what it takes to raise a family. Those are my parents' worries as they barely scraped by during the dot-com bust. Dad was a landscaper in the spring and summer and worked as a grocer in the fall and winter. It was too cold to cut grass. After weeks of unending begging, I came home to a Game Boy Color and Pokemon Red, which would have cost around $150, which, with the minimum wage of $7 to $8 per hour, would have been 3 days of work for my dad back in the day. He was a good dad, despite his shortcomings. What came with joyous fun was when the cheating began. How does one cheat at the age of 9, you might ask? Well, give a 9-year-old the Game Boy, a Pokemon game, and no restrictions on bedtime, you have a recipe for staying up late to play video games instead of sleeping. As you might have guessed, I was frequently tired and my grades were horrible during grade school, and this habit of late night gaming persisted throughout my teens and early 20s. Ask me how my sleep is today and I'd respond, so I want to build a sleep prep app. And the reason for this is because if you take a look at my sleep score, it is terrible. I slept like 2 hours last night, and the reason for that is I worked out too late and I ate too late, had some beans with dinner, so I ended up farting all night. And you can laugh if you want, but it really kept me up. So I really was able to sleep from like 12 to 2:30. So I woke up with the farts and I wasn't able to go back to bed until like 6:30. So all in all, I had like 5.5 hours of sleep, which is not enough for me. I need a good 7 hours or else I just don't function well. And it's funny how things happen because today YouTube recommended me this video. I worked out like David Goggins for 100 days. This guy has, 28k subscribers and this is his first viral video. So I'm thinking of doing the same thing, maybe not 100 days because I really want to build this app out and it's going to be a mobile app and I've never built a mobile app before. Well, maybe that's a lie. I built one, but I never released it maybe 10 years ago just for a school project. This is starting from scratch. I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't know what I'm doing and I have literally zero experience in building mobile apps. So this is gonna be fun. But yeah, the entire goal of this is I have to fix my sleep. This is something that not only myself, but it seems like a lot of my coworkers also have the same thing. And everybody seems to have gotten sleep problems once they turned 30 and older. It's like all of a sudden, eating close to bed will ruin your sleep. Because I never had this problem when I was in my 20s, but now that I'm in my 30s, I have to time when I work out, when I eat. If I do that too close to bed, my sleep quality would just go down the dumpster. 3 decades of poor sleep habits catches up to you when you try to adopt better sleep habits. My mid to late 20s were a blur of dance events and alcohol as moving to a new country alone spurred me to make whatever friends came my way. The majority of which were dancers, and the common habit between dancers were to sleep late, 5 a.m. late, and drink an abhorrent amount of alcohol, which doesn't promote great sleep habits. So the last month has been really busy for me. So basically I moved and I saved the whole $400. That's a big deal. I mean, $400 a month, that's groceries. And with all of that moving, what really changed is I've been getting a lot of good sleep. I don't know if it's the apartment, but I've been sleeping very well. The only problem is that I haven't gone dancing for a long time. And right now I am going to return my MacBook because my work sent me a new MacBook and I got to return the old one. But I haven't gone dancing in a long time, which is a good thing because it forces me to stay in. And the reason why I couldn't go is because I don't have a car living in Dallas. So I have to take the bus everywhere, and the bus basically stops at 11 p.m. So it's really good. It forces me to stay in. What's happening now is I'm still going to jiu-jitsu for like the evenings. That means 7 to 8 p.m. That is when I go to jiu-jitsu. It's pretty late. So that means that by the time I get back, I am usually hungry, which is bad because the thing is, when I was in my 20s, I would be able to sleep regardless of whatever I ate. Whether it was fried chicken or even if I drank beer, I would be able to sleep. But now that I'm in my 30s, I found that if I eat too close to bedtime, I would not be able to sleep at all. Well, that's a lie. I mean, if I eat any processed food or something heavy, then I wouldn't be able to sleep. So I can only have at most like a banana or an orange, or else my sleep gets really screwed up. And another thing is I can also eat soup. That's easily digestible as well, but it would make me pee all night, which is not something I want. That's also another thing. If I drink too close to bedtime, I'd pee all night. Like 32 ounces or 1 liter protein shake would make me wake up and pee 4 to 5 times during sleep if I don't get those pees out 4 to 5 times before sleep. And every wake up to pee is a risk to not going back to sleep. I really gotta make a phone app to help me improve my pre-sleep habits. The next thing I did is what anyone would have done. Knowing absolutely nothing about how to build phone apps, I hopped on Next, discovered this guy, Jack Freaks, which seemed very successful with an iPhone app, running a March challenge of building an iOS app from scratch. I took it as God's command to build an iOS app for sleep habits, downloaded Jack's little template to build iPhone apps, and quickly got overwhelmed. I remembered it like it was yesterday. I walked into Starbucks, pumped up, excited, overconfident. I thought to myself, I'm a software engineer. This is gonna be a cakewalk. But once I opened that iPhone app, I discovered that I was making sushi when I only knew how to make instant noodles. It was a completely different skill set. Can I really do this, I thought? Hopelessness fell over me for a moment, but the inconsistent sleep habits kept me going. And, well, the audiobook Why We Sleep by Matt Walker, which laid out the consequences of a poor night's sleep. Well, that and the telling of the story of Silvano, who is an Italian man who suffered from fatal insomnia disease. I did what the next afflicted person with OCD did. I made a Google search and it frightened me half to death. So guys, skip this part if you want, but this is what FFI is. So it is fatal familial insomnia. It's characterized by severe progressive insomnia, cognitive decline, and other neurological symptoms. It's caused by the mutation in the PRNP gene, which leads to an accumulation of abnormal prion proteins, and it is ultimately fatal with a mean course of 18 months. There's no known cure, and the treatment focuses on managing symptoms. So basically what happens is that you start having a little insomnia, and then it builds up as time passes, and then it goes to a point where you just never sleep at all. And I think that is the worst torture that anyone can experience in the modern day that we live in. So are you the type of person who, when you learn of something bad or scary, you start thinking, could this be happening to me? I feel like I've always had that since I was a kid. It's like a bad OCD disorder that the worst that could happen, I think that it's happening to me. And the same happened with the knowledge of this thing that I did not need it to know, like FFI. I did not need to know that. And I was paranoid about it for a good 1 to 2 weeks, which is a good and bad thing because I don't like being paranoid about things because it makes me anxious. But the good thing is it did help me settle down and work on this sleep app.
because for 2 weeks, knowing what FFI is, I was just sleeping poorly. And I started to think, could this be happening to me? Could I be getting this disease, or could this disease be developing? And at the end of the 2 weeks, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier, I Googled FFI and I discovered that it is a genetic disorder, a genetic disease, which means that you can really only have it if your family has it. And apparently only 1 to 2 out of 1 million people are unlucky enough to get hit by that disease. So as far as I know, grandma and grandpa died in their sleep, so I think I'm good.
However, throughout my paranoia about this disease for over 2 weeks, I did what I thought I wouldn't be able to at the beginning. Through multiple days of being a homebody and vibe coding, which is a term coined by Twitter users of people who didn't know how to code and just used AI to code, I built my sleep habits app, Sleepr. Time to send it to review by the App Store to get it released. And immediately, my app gets rejected. So the reason that my app got rejected was because if you go through this app, what I didn't have before was this restore purchases. So apparently when you try to build an app and submit it to the Apple App Store, you need to have some way for them to restore their account if they purchased it on another device. So that's what I added, and that's what made it approved.
So basically, I spent the whole rest of the evening after work today on Monday building this little landing page. It's just a little doodle here of what I wanted to put on my landing page. And this is what I ultimately came up with for Sleepr. Build better sleep habits. We have the headline, subheadline, the image, all the features, the benefits, tell them to download some frequently asked questions, and then another download. So I pretty much adapted this to Quitter app, which is an app to help men mostly beat porn addiction, and my friend Jack Sweeney's breathing app, Coherent Breathing. So always model other performing apps that are selling and how they do their landing pages. And that's how I came up with this little structure that I doodled here on my paper and what I turned into an actual web page. So pretty excited to get this deployed tomorrow. We'll see where it goes.
So guys, I got terrible sleep last night. So if you take a look, my sleep score is 64. And I slept around like 5 hours and 40 minutes. Usually I need a good 6 hours to sleep. I did all my routines before sleep. But you know what happened last night is that I made a video that talked about a bully of mine that bullied me in my elementary and high school days. And if you want to check it out, it's right there. But through the magic of YouTube, he actually found it. And I remember when I was deciding whether to make the video or post it or not, I wrestled with whether to post it, whether, he was going to see it. And I decided that, I'm just going to post it and let God decide whether he sees it or not and how he'll react. And he actually found it. So the YouTube gods really knows where to serve videos. But anyways, saw it, and I don't go on LinkedIn as much, so I decided to go on LinkedIn and post like a story, because I started doing these journal entries that instead of writing in the journal where nobody can see it, I shared on Twitter and on LinkedIn. I saw his message on LinkedIn from a while ago, and I read through it, and he saw through the entire video. The video went to where it needed, and he apologized for acting the way he did. Now, it isn't something that he needed to apologize for. I've long since forgiven him, even before I made the video, right? Because being a follower of God, forgiveness is what we do. And he wasn't like the worst person that hurt me in ways, let's just put it that way. But I was really happy to see that he's grown and he repented.
And immediately what happened afterwards is I started praying for him. Because, you know, we both grew up in Vancouver, Canada, and Vancouver is not known to be the place that is most religious or believing in religion. I grew up atheist, and a lot of my surroundings were very much secular. So I prayed for him. I prayed that he finds God like I did. But all of that aside, just seeing that message from someone who hurt you in the past, that they are sorry, that really made me emotional. That I would say that I'm not someone that opens up easily and my heart is always steady. But after seeing that message, I didn't know how to feel. Like, I called one of my Christian brothers, like said, all right, all of this happened right before bed. It put me in a really emotional state where my heart was not heavy, my heart was not light, but it put me into a state where I couldn't sleep. I'm the kind of guy that reminisces in bed, right? So before I go to bed, when I hop into bed, that is when my mind becomes active. And I have to actively work to shut off my mind. I wasn't able to shut off my mind that well. So that's the reason that I had this sleep score right now. And I just wanted to capture this on video. I guess the message is you still got to do your sleep habits because the sleep habits will set you up for sleep. But I guess this is a new idea for the app on how to prime your mind, because that was what really affected me falling asleep, me ruminating in order for you to get a good night's rest. Because at the end of the day, what happened in the past is in the past, but what needs to happen now is you need to get a good night's rest. And if you haven't already done so, check us out, download our app for iOS right now at sleeperapp.com. I'll see you next time.